It's Radio 101.1 FM. On Media Lab, we take you through some of the headlines currently making the rounds, and we get your opinion on that. But that's after the, newsmen and women. Are there newswomen? I think we're all gentlemen of the press, yeah? That is after the gentlemen of the press have actually given their own analysis of any of the stories. So, good morning once again to you, Inyene, for being here.
Good morning, Ruth. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure indeed. On Media Lab today, the headlines, we take on the first one here. President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday summoned the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, for disobeying his, that is, the President's directive to relocate to Benue. Buhari asked IGP Idris to provide a comprehensive report on police operations in the affected states, after which further decisions will be taken. This was one news we were greeted with yesterday. I mean, after his trip to Benue State, he found out that the IGP failed to stay for as long as he wanted him to. Instead, he left quite a lot earlier than expected. It has generated a lot of talk so far. So now he's been summoned. Were you expecting for him to just be summoned and give explanation, or just come and go, just like our one of analysts yesterday said that he should just be sacked already
straight away? Well, I think certain procedures need to be followed. Being the C in C, and having his directive flouted by one of his very how do I put it, prominent aides. He needs to really come out and show Nigerians that his directive is backed by the powers of the Constitution, and of course, which is he's exercising on behalf of the Nigerian people. Now, when I saw that when I heard the headline that he's been summoned, this other version that he's queried, I think summons is the first thing to do, and then subsequently will be followed with a query, which I believe part of it is that, yes, come here and explain to me why you did not stay as long as I directed you to do in Benue State, and ensure that normalcy was restored in that part of the country before you stepped out of that environment. But having said that, I want to say that it's quite ironical for this to happen at this point in time, meaning that Nigerians would always have to raise a hues and cries before our leadership moves into action. Now, he was in Benue after a lot of noise had been made. Eventually, he decided to visit some of these states that had been affected by one form of violence or the other, especially these wanton killings, that's being linked to the headsmen and unknown killers, as it were. So for the IGP to have flouted the Commander-in-Chief's directive, for me, it is a big security threat, because you and I cannot actually measure the quantum of lives or the volume of lives that would have been saved if the IGP had stayed put for that number of days. We understand.
I wanted to ask that question. Really, his stay there, would it have had such an impact?
His stay there does not mean that the IGP.
His physical presence.
That the IGP need to go and stay in is it Logo or Guma local government area, just reside there for that, put up a temporary residence there. No, I think what it translates into in security parlance means that there should have been a reinforcement of police battalion there, because the head of the police force, Nigeria Police Force, is there. Definitely, you wouldn't expect him to go and put up a temporary resident in that area without this reinforcement of policemen. And that would have scared away some of these killers in the process, because knowing that one of the top security officers or agents of this administration is resident there, even though temporary, that would have stemmed some of the violence that erupted in the area. So for flouting that order, and now Mr. President is coming out to say, come to the villa and see me and explain. I understand that he wants him go there and feed me with a full report of what has transpired, the operation so far. But the operations is ongoing. That's my take. The operation is still ongoing as we speak. So what is he going to present to Mr. President? The operation is ongoing, and we've been suffering. There's still been a lot of killings going on. We understand that 24 hours
and
after
that really
Mr. President left Benue
he does have
State,
a lot of explanations to give. Plus the fact that the president's spokesperson also, was saying, well, it's an allegation that...
I don't seem to understand. When you go out trying to defend the indefensible, sometimes it puts a kind of burden on your neck.
So who's making the allegation?
For additional now, the state...
Because it was the president who said, well, I was surprised to get to Benue, and then what I heard was that he never stayed there. So is he referring...
No. The Benue people are the ones making the allegation that, if I want to put it the way Mr. Additional is trying to...
That's what you think, yes. Or you're actually for sure certain?
That's what I think.
Okay.
So now the president has summoned him, or according to Additional's explanation, the president is a fair-minded leader. Definitely is going to summon is going to hear the IGP side of the story. And I'm sure that's what he just did yesterday by summoning him to the villa to come and explain. And then he said further decisions will be taken. Do you understand?
Okay.
After... I don't know what...
everybody deserves a fair, hearing. So,
but what I'm worried about, what do you think, or what would Nigerians think would be the most likely decision, yes, that will be taken out of this? I agreed one of your aides' allegations, so in quote, have been made against him, that he flouted your own directive. Now you're giving him the chance to explain. That's fair-mindedness enough. But then the consequence...
If found guilty...
The consequence, I don't know what manner of court we need to subject this matter to, but I can say it on good authority. For the fact that Benue people raise this point, I don't think they will be lying or making a flimsy allegation against the person of the IGP. So for me, it should have been the direct thing. I hired you, so what am I supposed to do? You don't need to wait on Nigerians to caution you, to counsel you, to advise you on that.
No, but then again, if you don't listen
because once
to
it
other,
has to do,
if you don't listen to, especially who, has an allegation leveled against him, I mean, it would sound a bit unjust. So regardless of whether he's been summoned to explain himself or not, I think it's still in the right way. I mean, the entire process, like, come explain yourself. If it's not satisfactorily enough, should there really be, I don't even know if there's,
but let's talk from the point of view of observers.
Yeah.
From January 1, when these killings, the started in Benue State, how many incidents have we had? Any more incidents of such within that locality? Up until Mr. President visited Benue, have we?
Well,
now
the answers are obvious.
Obvious now. When you start counting all of those incidents, you begin to wonder what the manner of reports is going to present.
Okay, let's just allow some of these things to play out, and we'll take it from there subsequently. Moving away from that, still with the President Muhammad Buhari, he has announced plans to inaugurate National Food Security Council to be chaired by him and listed other prospective members of the council to include ministers, governors, members of security agencies, and key stakeholders in agriculture. Buhari, while addressing stakeholders in rice value chain in the presidential villa, noted that the current clashes between herders and farmers had shown that Nigeria's food security had a direct link with its security objectives. Is this a move in the right direction? So far, I mean, so many Nigerians have been raising the concern that with the unrest, especially around the Middle Belt, which produces more of the food, so to speak, it really is a threat to sustaining food or food security, so to speak. Now the president is going to chair the council. I mean, of members who would of the council that would include ministers, governors, and all that to ensure. Do we need him to be there? I mean,
I don't know. Well, they call it is it National Food Security Council?
Yes.
security. Let's underscore.
National Food Security Council.
Okay, we underscore the word security. So being the number one security chief of the Federation, I think we might just count him. He should be on that particular council. Having said that, though, now he's linking the insecurity we are experiencing in the Middle Belt region of the country, and by extension, other sections of Nigeria, and food security. I think for me, setting up the Food Security Council, it should be, how do I put it, a secondary arrangement. The primary arrangement at this point in time, or the primary focus, should rather be on stabilizing the security situation across all sections of the country. Now, when we talk about the Middle Belt, which is the food basket of the nation, sort of, with this wanton killings, destruction of farmland and farm produce, that is being carried out. Again, on the other hand, when you talk about the headers, the cattle headers as well, you're talking about protein. That's very, very necessary for the well-being and healthy living of Nigerians. I'm a huge
advocate. I mean, like I would always talk about suya. I can't imagine my life without
suya. So you see, this is why it calls for urgent attention of government, authorities at all levels, to do something very, very quickly to actually stem this killing.
So focusing on peace should rather be,
it should be the utmost importance.
It will eventually trickle down to security in
every
food.
other section, especially the belly force, as we say.
So because those who are supposed to go into the farms are scared, as we're getting a lot of reports. So if they know that the environment, the coast is clear, like they can go out and work, it shouldn't really be so much.
So that's why it beats my imagination. Why the authorities would allow this farmer herdsmen clash to fester this long, because knowing full well that it has direct link to what matters to us, which is food.
Yeah.
And just I think sometime earlier in the week we heard about the United States of America, doling out AIDS, that food crisis, in some sections of Africa. Now Nigeria is part of that as well, because in the northeast we have a huge deluge of what do you call the IDPs, those who have been displaced by one form of displaced, and most of them are agrarian. They are farmers. You find out most of those people now have been dislocated from their farmland. So how do we get to produce this food that would service the huge consumption for the nation? Now, if we don't put our security in order, if we don't stabilize that sector, it becomes very, very impossible for us to thrive as a nation, because when hunger now steps into the picture, I don't know where it's going to be. So my take is the authorities, the government, Mr. President, should focus more on ensuring that peace, relative peace, stability is restored in all sections of the country. That whosoever is responsible, is connected, sponsor, or agent of these killers should be dealt with according to the law. And then subsequently, all other forms of security, will come into place.
In place, yeah. Okay, we'll talk some more after this commercial break. Do stay with us on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM.
Anywhere you go, wherever you are, we are your family. Human Rights Radio 101.1, redefining broadcasting.
titwa duddude ɓe nokkana to laamorde lesdi ndi ndi Abuja hakkunde maɓɓe remoɓe mi heɓa jonde jam e ɗawta risku takanas to ɓe keɓi ɓe joɗake ndebi guere nattuki nde ladde wallira kadi gomnati heɓa waɗnaɓe ko handi annaɓe to jamu maɓɓe e nanta dabbaji maɓɓe bandiraɓe to en jaɓu tawe en kaɓa hakkunde meɗen remoɓe ɓe nde fina Allah fo leñol lesdi ndi en giɗi gaynako en giɗi demowo gin jonde jam e jahargal yeeso risku mayri bandiraɓe waynaɓe jaɓe jooɗo en to darduɗe ɗe e laamorde lesdi ndi Abuja nokkani e gam jahargal yeeso hakkunde meɗen e remoɓe to komo fu jaɓa nangire aybe de handaki en fu meɗen en kawtu koɓe gin raskinki resku laamorde lesdi ndi Abuja lilal ɗon ngal ardungal laamorde lesdi ndi Abuja lildani en.
agwo anakwo kan ba hilo ele FCT ele na Abuja ege owe minister o we dafe ege yola babwa ga hwe hwa hwe hwi ehwa nakwo na ba na tabe je gugbo ba kunsun na hwani ehwa japma ege na nakwo zokwe na ya hwe ele FCT na Abuja nu adabe je anyawu okunsun na hwani hukuma ele FCT ele na Abuja ba ya hwani lo ba ye anakwo kan lo mba na hedo na hwani bodo na nakwo kan hwe jina ba hwe aku ye hukuma aku sasaji akukọ dada agwo anakwo kan hwe to lo ahwanu zokwo ahwani hwetelo agozoko na gaba na baba kamba na kochon hwebe ya na bwado na ba ya mwaiki ago na hwani hwesase na je lafia LFCT na Abuja bade kwen kwakun ege LFCT minister Malam Mohammed Musa Bello.
Hukumar kula da babban birnin tarayya Abuja na jawo hankalin Fulani makiyaya cewa ya zama wajibi da su bi kiran ministan babban birnin tarayya Malam Muhammad Musa Bello da su rungumi zama a wuraren da aka keɓe musu don kiwo a yankin domin rage wahalhalun da ke tattare da yadda suke yin sana'arsu a yankin. Zama a wuraren da aka keɓe don kiwo zai kawo musu sauki musamman ta fannin yawan tashi da barin matsuguni domin cirani kuma zai baiwa gwamnati daman samun su cikin sauki don taimaka musu da ababen da suke bukata kamar al'amuran da suka shafi likitocin da ke kula da dabbobi. Ilahirin al'umma na bukatar makiyaya da manoma domin samun wadatan kayan abinci. Makiyaya a kula da hanyoyin da aka kayyade domin ku a babban birnin tarayya a kauce ma shiga gonaki. Manoma kuma a bada rahoton duk wanda ya keta wannan dokan. Kar wani ko wasu al'umma su dauki doka a hannunsu. Mu haɗa hannu domin samar da wanzuwar zaman lafiya a tsakaninmu. Wannan sako ne daga hukumar kula da babban birnin tarayya Abuja wato FCTA.
Farmers plus header people. E good make we hear wetin the minister for FCT, Malam Muhammad Musa Bello talk o. Him tell all the people that where they carry cow waka up and down, make them for go settle for where government give them for grazing for inside FCT. This go help reduce them suffer head to waka up and down. E go dey easy for government to fit support them. Make we say no to kili bonu plus scatter. The society need headers plus farmers so make food for them for we obodo for all of us to chop. Make headers no enter people farmland. Farmers report anybody when no want hear word. Make it for hear way. Make anybody no put the law for them handle. Make we come together to build peace. Now Federal Capital Territory Administration they bring from this message.
Residents of the Federal Capital Territory are reminded of the need to be law-abiding, especially in areas of road use and illegal squatting. Please note that the Ministerial Joint Task Force is mandated to ensure that the existing ban on the use of unpainted vehicles as commercial taxis is enforced, and that of minibuses and coasters alike, to ensure that a complete ban on the use of motorcycles as means of transportation within the capital city centre is enforced, to ensure the restriction of tricycles, keke to estates and designated areas within and around the capital city centre, to ensure the eradication of the activities of commercial sex workers in the city, to ensure the eradication of other public nuisance such as drug trafficking, peddling and removal of all illegal shanties and squatters, to rid the city of illegal motor parks and bus stops within the capital city. Let us together build an FCT of our dreams. Those arrested will be prosecuted. Be law-abiding.
It's about that time.
This is Human Rights Radio 101.1. Redefining broadcasting.
As the fourth estate of the realm, the media stands as the watchman of the nation. On Media Lab, we dissect the news items of the day through the men and women that bring the news to you to give you the full story. Media Lab, airing exclusively on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, redefining broadcasting.
Human Rights Radio.
We're still here on Media Lab on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. My name is Ruth, and I have been speaking with Inyene, who is our in-house analyst, I would say, as we have been looking at some of the headlines. Now, the next one for us to look at right now is this one. It says President Muhammadu Buhari will today meet with parents of the 110 schoolgirls abducted by Boko Haram on February 19 in Dapchi, Yobe State. They will be among the stakeholders at the party in the Yobe State Government House in Damaturu during a one-day presidential visit Buhari has visited Taraba, Plateau, and Benue states, where killings by herdsmen took place. He is also due to visit Niger State tomorrow. Okay. Still on transit, so to speak.
Blowing stopovers.
Okay. Well, it's what many Nigerians have been clamoring for. It's eventually happening. Now he'll be meeting with them. According to what I just read here, he's not likely to be in the community, that is the Dapchi community. He'll be meeting with them in the government house.
I'm not too comfortable with this arrangement where meetings with stakeholders are always held in the government house. When certain security breaches happened or took place in a particular locality. Now, I think on this same forum or perhaps or otherwise on this same station, we've talked about the powers that the Commander-in-Chief, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria wields. So for me, I have this niggling feeling that his security aides or intelligence reports might come out and say setting foot in Dapchi community would amount to, I don't know. For me,
a careless
I don't think
venture.
We have the personnel, and I think we have the equipment as well to withstand anybody. The president can go to any part of this
why
country.
are they taking our girls? Why are we still having pockets of suicide bombings?
That part has to do when you're dealing with this unconventional, security situation like terrorism. It's not something where your enemy comes out and tells you, look, we're launching an attack here. We want to conquer this particular domain. We want to take over this part of the country or that. But when people just strap bombs on themselves and just go into the midst of humanity, detonate these things and kill people, you can't really figure out, except just if for instance, about 5 or 6 of these suicide bombers are released on a particular date, it might just take the grace of God for 2 to be picked up before they detonate these IEDs. So in this wise, I'm talking about the president now. This incident had taken place a long time ago, and here we are. We're still licking our wounds, praying and hoping that something tangible is gotten out of that translating into the return of these girls. We're talking Dapchi now. We're still battling with that of what's the name
Chibok.
of Chibok? Yes, we're still battling with those ones, and now Dapchi has just set in as well. What I'm saying is that for Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces visiting Yobe State as a part of his effort to condole with people who lost their loved ones and those who are incommunicado right at this point in time, not knowing whether their lost ones are dead or are alive. So when you go down there, I don't think, I'm not comfortable when I keep hearing he's meeting with stakeholders in the government house when the location where this incident took place are far away from there, and you come to think about the security arrangement there, where in many cases most of the traumatized Dapchi people or community people there will not be allowed to go in and see Mr. President.
No,
now,
but
this whole
this
arrangement
is saying, but at least for the 110 girls abducted, I want to believe they should be able to see him.
The parents of these girls, all of them. We know the overzealous nature of security sometimes. They get to government house.
So you feel if he had gone directly to the community?
If he had gone directly, beyond, look, aside from the parents of these girls, other members of that community that have suffered, yes, indirectly as well. Living in the midst of somebody who lost 2 or 3 girls, you can imagine if that had happened to you. So as far as I'm concerned, those people should be counted in as stakeholders as well. So going to that community would have offered a much more level play field for the community members to now mingle with Mr. President and actually share their grievances and express their grief to Mr. President. And it is in that particular setup that the president will be able to appreciate the depth of grief that his people are going through in different sections of this country. And you wouldn't know by undertaking such a trip and coming back, then you now be able to start asserting, asking questions from his aides. Did you check out Dapchi? Have you checked out Enugu? Have you checked out Makodi? Have you checked out Oshogbo? Is everything there calm? Have you done this? But when they are the ones who rather go to feed him with this half-truths and tell him, oh, all is well in Dapchi, we're taking care of, it doesn't all
So
go
it's
well.
one thing to go to the state, is another to ensure that at least you really have a one-on-one interaction. Well, maybe not speaking to all of them individually, but then addressing them, maybe hearing a few things directly from those involved.
Very well.
Okay.
You see the real community, rural
Well,
dwellers.
it's been set out already that they'll be meeting at the government house. So going to Dapchi, I think, is automatically out of the equation right now. But well, let's see what effect that can have, and if he will really have a good sense of what they are currently going through.
He's still traveling to a couple of other states.
Oh yes,
isn't
tomorrow he will be going.
So
to
he could take
State.
a cue from now. You missed out on that of Jalingo. Missed out in Makurdi, the Plateau State. So maybe in the remaining states, just take it a step further and say, look, hey, security people, intelligence whatsoever, get yourself ready. Let's reinforce in this area. I want to set foot in that community and see things for myself. They call it on-the-spot assessment.
All right, Mr. President, there you have it from ENA on the spot assessment. Well, let's listen to Nigerians at this point. You can call in and react to, at least we have discussed about 3 different headlines. Let's hear your take on any of them. 081-8999-1011. It's Media Lab on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. Let's get your contributions, your reactions to any of the headlines as we have been talking about them in the past minutes. 081-8999-1011. Okay. Let's see how that goes. While we wait for calls to come in, let's see. All right, another headline here. Okay, this one here says the Chairman House Committee on Pension, Hassan Shekaro, has said that the federal government has released 54 billion naira to National Pension Commission, PENCOM, for the payment of the 33% pensions arrears to pensioners. Shekaro said that President Muhammad Buhari had constituted a presidential committee to reconcile the pension figures and that the job had been concluded. Okay, so there's been a lot of cries too here and there about the whole pension situation. And now there is that's 54 billion naira release to the National Pension Commission. What do you see that doing?
Now, the first question that's bugging my mind is, we're talking about 33% release, which amounts to 54 or thereabout billion naira. Okay, so what happens? When are they going to get the remaining 67 or thereabout percent?
A journey of 1,000 miles.
Starts with a step, you said. So, well, they say half bread sometimes is better than none. I think I want to commend the federal government on this point, knowing full well that most of these senior citizens of this country have really spent the best part of their lives, the best part of the years, contributing to the growth and development of this nation in different sectors of human endeavor. Now, it becomes so sad and very disappointing that at the end of their service to the nation, you find out that whatever was supposed to be their entitlements are now left to hang for years. We've heard stories where most of these senior citizens have dropped dead at the point of going for verification. We hear stories of them being asked from one location to the other, year in, year out, verification, this, verification, that.
Yeah,
so
a lot of scrutiny.
Yes, the scrutiny there for me is just a smoke screen, because this whole thing we're talking, corruption has eaten so deep into that sector. We've had cases where directors of pension, are being charged, have been arrested. They cornered huge sums of money, pension funds to themselves. They converted it to personal use. Now, government, by releasing this 33% now, I want to caution, have they put the mechanism on ground to ensure that past stories, experiences of the past where we had, huge sums of money like this were released for the pensioners, and then pensioners were beginning, those who are limping, those who are on their walk sticks, those who are on their sick beds, were now getting excited, beginning to get some sort of hope that, yes, my little stipend will come to me. Get disappointed at the end of the day when they hear, oh, due to one reason or the other, we're suspending payment because we discovered that the monies and all those sort of things. You now see another number of years will pass through, and most of these pensioners are dying by the day. Has government, while releasing this money, put in place effective mechanism to monitor, to supervise, and ensure the judicious use of this money, discharging it to the pensioners who are actually entitled to it? We hear of over-bloated pension list and things like that. This can only happen with the connivance of people within the system. So if government just merely releasing this money, for me, it doesn't really count, because if
unless it gets to the hands of
those people who are entitled to it, otherwise we just play the same old game. Monies were released, but then nowhere to be found, because those who are entitled to those monies are not actually accessing them. Government release this money, follow it from start to finish, ensure that this money gets to the rightful owners.
Yeah, as Oikeke would like to say, follow the money. So let's hope that they will really follow the money and ensure that it gets to those intended for that. Let's see if we can get a call or two before we call it a wrap on Media Lab this morning. 08189991011. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning to you.
Yeah, good morning to the other members of the House.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Jamil from Apples and D.
All right, Jamil, we're listening.
Yeah. Well, the presidency releasing another bunch of billions to pensioners is a welcome development. Yeah, like one of you said, it's not about releasing the money, but how effective is the distribution. So at least effective monitoring and evaluation needs to take place when carrying out those distributions, so that new causes will not be, because we can't afford another explanation of how the pension fund went, whether wrongly or otherwise. But we hope that it's going to be distributed fairly. For the presidency going to Adamawa, well, that showed the sincerity.
That's Yobe.
As in, pardon?
Yobe, you mean to say? Are you talking about the Dapchi?
Yobe, the Dapchi girls. That shows the sincerity of purpose of the president. That means that he has us at heart. Only if we can, if one of my boss said, if you happen to live with the president, you know how deeply touched is he concerning Nigerians and what's happening. But at least until they happen, we definitely happen. That's a positive thing. But going further to say whether all the mothers will be around, I think even though all of them will be around, all of them won't be given that audience. At least maybe pick from those who speak.
Jamil, if it's you, will you be able to talk to 110 people? I mean, how many hours?
No, that's why I'm saying he cannot be able to listen to all of them. But randomly, or like just pick, and most of them, 100% of them, and 100% of them will be saying, just say one thing: bring back our daughter. That is the only language that they will understand, and that's the only language that we can will understand.
Okay.
The release of the Dapchi girls and the remainder of Chibok.
All right, Jamil. Thank you so much. Okay. I think we will just have to leave it at that. Or let me just quickly get this one and then... Hello?
Hello?
Please turn off your radio.
My name is Augustine Odi.
Okay, Augustine. Go ahead.
Yes. Buhari, a whole man like Buhari, send that man to Benue. No go. He's supposed to sack the man.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's the IGP you're talking about. All right. He is supposed to have him sacked. Well, we'll see how things will eventually turn around, and will that still solve our problems? I mean, if he's sacked.
It
But
would solve
then,
the problem, but it would have sent a strong message
to future defaulters.
to all Nigerians.
All right then. Well, we don't have a lot of time at this point. I will need Inyene to catch some breath because we'll be coming up at 12 on the news. So many thanks to you for being here and to those who were able to call in on Media Lab today. Remember, Media Lab comes your way Mondays through Wednesdays. So keep your fingers crossed for the next edition come Monday, God willing. But stay with us on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. My name is Ruth Usman and I will see you tomorrow.
As the fourth estate of the realm, the media stands as the watchman